The topic that I'm going to talk about is Mendi art, which is also known as henna tattoos. Henna is a form of temporary body art that creates stains on the top layers of your skin to form a temporary tattoo. And then as you exfoliate your skin cells and they come off as you wash and dye, that tattoo fades until it's gone. Henna is a plant that's found in the Middle East that is green and leafy. It looks like a normal plant. The henna is ground up into a very fine powder, which you then mix with ingredients and it creates the henna paste. Henna was first used in ancient times as a cooling agent against the hot sun. Ancient people would mix it with water and the henna would keep them cool, while it would also act as a sunblock. It was also used as a medicine, and it can treat heat exhaustion and other various things like that. Throughout the centuries, the designs evolved and it spread, and henna became what it is today. There are two variations of Mendi, and that is the more traditional form, which tends to be a little bit simpler, and it's just simple, beautiful. Once you have it, you have Mendi for your ceremony. And then as time went on, people tend to want more intricate designs, and so it leads us with the modern art, which is a lot more intricate and complex. So to make henna paste, most of the time people will go to an artist that they have heard about to buy the paste if they are just wanting to try it out for themselves. But if you are a henna artist or if you use a lot of it, you would create the henna paste yourself. So what you will need is you will need the ground up henna powder, and it would take a fourth a cup of that, about 20 grams. And then you have tea tree oil and sugar and lemon juice. So first you have to mix the henna powder and the lemon juice together, and the lemon juice is an acid that actually acts as it is the acid that helps release the dye in the henna. So you take it and you mix those together, and it takes a little while to mix. You got to get it really smooth, and then once it's finally starting to get smooth, you add the sugar and you add tea tree oil. Sugar makes the paste sticky, and it keeps it it's what causes it to bind to your skin. Without the sugar, you would just easily be able to wipe it off. It also helps to thicken the paste a little bit so that it doesn't spread out. You'll get this really creamy, silky, almost sort of texture for your paste. That's what you want. You don't want any sort of bumps or anything in it, because that will make it really hard to later whenever you're trying to use it to create a design. So after that, it has to sit for 24 hours to allow the stain and the dye to be released within it. Most henna artists prefer to use cones for their henna. To create a cone, there's triangle pieces of cellophane. So you have to roll it up into a cone. So we're going to tape that up. And I already have another cone prepared with the paste inside of it, because it is a bit of a pain to fill the cones, and it can be very messy sometimes. So the best way to do it is use a Ziploc bag and to cut a little hole in the corner of that and then fill the cone from there. Alright, so I'm going to use a note card at the beginning of this to help so that you can see some of the designs, and it'll be a better angle than if I were to draw on my own hands. First, what you have to do is with your cone, you're going to have to cut off the tip. You want a fairly small hole. You can always cut it bigger if you need some thicker lines, but especially whenever the paste is this fresh, sometimes it's still a little bit runny, so you want a very small hole. So we're going to draw, and I'm going to speed it up a little bit. And so again, it uses a lot of circular patterns, and this is a basic henna flower. It's a lot of times incorporated into larger designs. So next I'm going to draw one on my hand, because whenever you draw a henna on your hand, it is actually a lot different than drawing it on note cards. Different textures, and it's a lot easier. A lot of times if you make a mistake, there is no erasing in henna. It's all done freehandedly, so you are encouraged to incorporate that into the design. Here, this is what your henna will look like after the henna starts to dry. It will crack, and it will form these cracks. So it will sit like this, and you will leave it for multiple hours. After a little while, it will start to fall off like this. Eventually, you'll just get to where you can scrape the rest of it off. You want to leave the henna tattoo on for up to 8 hours. The longer you leave it on, the better a stain you will have, and the longer it'll last. So after it comes off like that, see how it's a very light yellow color? Uh, that color will deepen over the next however many hours. This specific strand of henna uses, this is Jamelia, and it created a brown stain. I didn't leave it on there the full time, so my stain is kind of light, but it turns to this brown color. So often it'll have a little bit of a red tint or orange tint, as you saw in that last picture. So this right here is just a comparison of two different types. The one on the right is a more traditional flower pattern. These are something that you might get at a fair if you saw a henna artist there, that are fairly simple. And the one on the left is a little bit more modern. It still uses the basic curvy and straight lines, but it is not a traditional design. It creates a butterfly, and it's very beautiful on. I skipped drawing this design because they do take time. All of these have been sped up a little bit whenever they have been drawn, because henna does take a little bit of time since it is freehand. This design, we have is, it's a basic flower, and then what a lot of artists will do whenever they are at fairs is people don't like the color of the design at first, so they will use things such as the glitter to make the design prettier. A lot of times they also have little gems and jewels that they can use. It's up to the wearer if they want that on there or not. Alright, so next we're going to talk about henna safety, because as much as we all love it, it does have some drawbacks, and one of those things you have to be careful of is black henna. Henna should always be brown or orange, and black henna means that it has had dangerous chemicals added to it. This one is specifically called PPD. What it does is it causes allergic reactions. It is not meant to come into contact with a person's skin, but it will stain the tattoo black, so a lot of companies have decided to use it. PPD causes scarring. As you see here, this is somebody that they got a black henna tattoo, and the PPD caused cross reaction, and so their skin has blistered up, and this is actually a less severe photo. They get very graphic with the blisters, and sometimes that scarring is permanent, so make sure you stay away from this. A couple of ways to make sure that you stay safe is you can ask the artist these questions. One, you ask the artist what color their henna stains. If they say pure black or, blue or some sort of color like that, it has some chemical in it that you should not be using. The other thing that you can do to stay safe is that you can ask what ingredients they have in their henna. Any artist that is doing henna for a living should know what is in their henna. It should always be organic ingredients. If there is anything that you do not recognize in that henna, then it is not safe, and I would not suggest using it. With that being said, don't let PPD scare you off of getting henna. It is a beautiful art form, and there are laws that prevent companies from using black henna. So there are safety regulations. It's not something that just every person is going to try and use. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I hope you found something intriguing. Thanks for watching.